Hi, how are you doing? It's Corena. Today I wanted to talk about change, transformation, and evolving. I've spent a lot of my life transforming and evolving and getting out of circumstances that are unbelievable, and I'm really proud of myself. But there was a time in my 40s where I was like, there's this big shift that I want. Like, I felt like I just needed to sort of dial it into place and it was all going to click, right? Well, when it happened, and it happened, I was blown away at how shitty it felt. I was like, what? Are you kidding me? I mean, I'd had all these shifts in my life that felt great, so I was super excited to, have this peace. But when it really happened, it was a full shed of my life. And literally, I was out walking one day in this sort of trail that I had out by my house. And I was telling the universe I was pissed off. I was done with this. And I was like, why is everything so hard right now? I could not believe it. I'd gotten divorced. I'd sold my company. I was starting to lose friends. I just was like, what is this? Everything was melting away. I was struggling with my adult children that I just thought, my God, am I going to lose them as well? It was so hard. So I'm out sort of silently complaining and a little bit of praying, but it was more like a victim impact statement than an actual prayer. Just to be clear, it was awful, I know. And I said, why is this so hard? And within 15 minutes, I found this snake skin that had been shed, and it was head to tail. You could see where the eyes all the way down to the tail, all in one piece. I actually ended up going back a few days later and picking it up. I thought it was so cool. I wanted someone else to see it. And my friend, when I told her about it, she does a lot of journeys and walkabouts and stuff, and she said, people pray for an omen like that or some sort of symbolic piece of evidence from the universe for years and years. And she said, and you left it there? So I went back and got it, and I have a picture of it. It's amazing. So it's still mostly in one piece, but when I saw this, I was like, oh, it's a full shed. Yeah, from the crown of my head to my tail, my eyeballs, my teeth, the universe was just pulling it out of me. And I had done enough work that it was finally time for all to come into fruition. And it hurt. I mean, there is very few things left on the other side of it. So I wanted to talk about, I think a lot of people in mass consciousness are, hitting that point where we've wanted change and we've wanted things to feel better, I'm going to evolve into this new person, but then we sort of cling to our old ways. And we're in this space where I probably was about 4 or 5 years ago. So I just wanted to share the kinds of things that you'll see happening to you when you authentically, truly change. The first thing that happens is you stop telling everyone about it. You stop talking to people about who you want to be, and you just start being it. I think a lot of times when we're talking, we're reaffirming, yes, and we want people to hold us accountable and things like that, but we're also having this sort of mild hit of atta girl, great job, or atta boy, because we're talking about what we're going to be. And so we get a little hit of, when we tell people, they're excited for us, and then we don't actually have to do it. We just stop talking about what we're going to do, and we start being it. Whatever state of being we're going to transform into, we just start being it. And we don't need all the atta girls and atta boys from everybody else, right? So the second thing that happens is we incur loss. And I'm telling you, I have so many friends who are incurring loss after loss after loss right now. And it's mostly friendships, in their 60s, and losing people that they've known since junior high or since childhood. And the thing is, when we've built a strategy in our life that doesn't work for us anymore, or we're wearing a mask of, oh, I'm the tough one, or I'm the resilient one, or I'm the quiet one, or whatever it is, and then we shift that up, We have a whole tribe of people that are counting on us to still be that other person. So you'll incur loss, and you know that's when it's really happening, is when you're incurring that loss. The other thing that happens is we stop being interested in over-giving or over-taking from anyone. It's rare, but it sometimes happens that people who are takers want to change that and transform. And they'll hold themselves accountable. They'll start noticing where they're doing it, and they won't do it anymore. And they'll even admit it to people. They'll be very transparent. Generally speaking, the people who really want that change, it's those of us who've been super codependent, and the healers and the empaths of the world. And we want to keep our empathic gifts, but we're no longer interested in the codependent part of that. We stop being interested in overgiving to people. I mean, I've had friendships that if you put on a T-square the things, the opportunities I've given them in life, just factual, none of the om foo-foo yoga, what's it feel like shit, but just the real deal of like, list it out. The list of, I can give you these opportunities, or I want to create these opportunities, or this is what I've done. This is what I've actually done in this world for you, versus the actual payback. It's so imbalanced. And so when you start shifting those things, or when you see them, you don't try and get the other person to change. You just see that you're doing it, and you stop doing it. And you'll lose friendships that way too, and sometimes even marriages or careers or whatever. But the other thing that happens, the fourth thing that happens, is you genuinely celebrate the small wins in life. We've all got these ideas of what it will look like when we get to this big place, and we start being mature enough and able to handle the charge of energy that it's taking from us, that we don't have to have a massive win. Just the little wins can mean the biggest deal in the world for us. So we recognize the small wins and we celebrate them. You know, Bethlehem was a small place. Buddha had a really small following when he started. You know, small things can create greatness, and we start living it and we recognize it. And the last thing that happens when true change is happening, and this is going to be so hard for you if you haven't incurred it yet, we stop reading books, and we stop seeking the answers, and we start experiencing exactly what is going on. So I actually lost friends from no longer doing the whole read the new book thing and get all the answers off the internet. I mean, just when I was like, you know, the reality is I know more answers than what I'm experiencing. So I need to stop all that, because if I can't experience what I know, I don't know it. I think I know it, but if I can't live it, I'm not going there anymore. And that's when all the changes started really unfolding. And I'm telling you, they were difficult changes. So difficult and so worth it. Oh my gosh. Getting on the other side of this has been phenomenal and life-changing. But when I was in it, and honestly, it lasted about 2.5 to 3 years. Not hard for that long, but like spitting dirt to the top of the hill for 2.5 to 3 years, and just lesson after lesson after lesson. But I stopped trying to figure out what was going on according to a book, because I thought that it doesn't have anything to do with me. I'd read enough books. I knew enough information. I didn't need to know more. I needed to experience it. So I hope that was helpful. If you're in the thick of it, just like connect to the inside, remind yourself of what you want, hold that charge of energy, and move through it with grace. Thanks so much for being here.